Think of the perfect nacho. Creamy cheese molten on top of crispy chips, or how about buffalo chicken wings, fried finger foods with homemade blue cheese dressing. But when carelessly made, bar foods are worse than a Sunday morning hangover. So stay right here at America's Test Kitchen as we uncover the secrets of great bar foods at home.
It's America's Test Kitchen. From the test kitchens of Cook's Illustrated Magazine, join Cook's editor-in-chief, Christopher Kimball, along with test kitchen chefs Julia Collin and Bridget Lancaster, Doc Willoughby at the science desk, Jack Bishop from the tasting lab, and Adam Reed in the equipment corner. Discover the secrets of America's foremost food testers and tasters today on America's Test Kitchen.
Hey, it's been a long day at the office. You go down to the local bar to see the Red Sox crush the Yankees at 7. You bring the guys along, order a couple of brewskis, little side order of food.
I got wings and nachos here. Get them while they're hot.
Yeah, this is what you got. How much is that?
It's $19.50.
Hey, 20 bucks. Keep the change. Thanks a million. So, what do you got? You got soggy tortilla chips, you got Velveeta, and you got hamburger on top. So, I mean, look at that. Hey, well, with a beer, anything tastes good. And this, well, it looks like it came from the Red Dragon Chinese restaurant. It's gooey, and this stuff isn't going to come off your hands for a couple of weeks. So before we go back in the test kitchen, let's figure out what type of tortilla chip is really the best. I recently went into the small country store in my town in Vermont, and I noticed something really odd, which was the shelf space given to tortilla chips is almost greater than the shelf space for basic potato chips. And if that's happening in Vermont, it has to be happening all over the country. Something's going on. Some of them are white, some of them are sort of yellow colored, some of them have corn flavor, some of them have less. We did a huge tasting to find out which ones we really liked.
We tasted 11 brands, both white and yellow, and I brought 4 interesting samples. There are 3 ingredients in tortilla chips: masa, which is corn dough, salt, and oil. Some of the companies use a very fine corn flour, others use a stone ground, and some actually use stone ground softened whole corn kernels, which gives it a very sort of rustic texture. Our tasters did not like the rustic texture. They wanted a fine corn flour, a very fine chip. Are you tasting something you like?
Yeah.
How's your beer? Is that... I mean, I figured you...
Jack is... I usually have water for tasting. Jack's got...
you know, wash something down.
As they say in Boston, a frosty.
Salt was easy. It was a no-brainer. More salt made a better chip. All the brands with the most sodium ended up at the top of the ratings. The ones with the least amount of salt at the bottom of the ratings. And in terms of oil, we did find something interesting when we opened the bags. I opened one bag over here, Chris, for you. The top 3 brands all came in what they call a metallized bag. It's a foil-lined bag as opposed to a regular plastic bag. And several of the food packaging experts we spoke with said that that foil prevents the oil from oxidizing, which would give it an off flavor. And we felt that there must be some relationship since the only 3 brands that are in a foil bag all finished 1, 2, and 3 in the tasting. So you finding any favorites? Any you don't like?
I'm just going to drink the beer. Yeah, this is obviously a white corn chip, and it doesn't have a lot of flavor.
Well, all of the white corn chips are a little bit subtler. We didn't think that was a bad thing or good thing. It's just that they're a little bit more subtle corn flavor. The yellow, you get a sort of more robust, toasty corn flavor, at least in the good ones.
It's a clear winner for me. Not even a close second. I would definitely go
You know
back.
what? The panel agrees with you completely.
Here we are.
Everyone felt like there was absolutely no contest that the winner, Doritos.
Doritos.
The big mass market brand, which unfortunately, Doritos is only distributing this toasted corn flavor, which I have over here, west of the Mississippi. All the other varieties are available nationwide. This one is unfortunately only available out west. Number 2 in our tasting was Miguel's. White corn chip. People liked that quite a lot. Had nice flavor.
It's better than these 2.
Yeah, well, these 2 ended up at the bottom of the rankings.
Well, they're kind of tough and they're kind of heavy. And
these are both made, this is a Nana's Cochina and this is a kettle chip, and these are both made with stone ground whole kernels. They've got a much more sort of rustic, chewy texture people weren't wild about. They liked these, which are made with the fine corn flour.
Yep. Okay, so we've got a winner here, but what if you make nachos? Does it matter?
We made nachos with every brand in the tasting. We found the chips we liked out of the bag, we liked it with nachos. Direct correlation.
simple tasting by the big guy, by Doritos. And who made the beer? This was pretty good too. And now for something completely different. You expected to tune in to a cooking show on television, on public television, something serious, some French cooking, some German cooking, some South American cooking, but no, today we're doing
Nachos.
bar foods and nachos. We're taking them out of Taco Bell,
Right.
taking them home, and you might ask, why would anybody in their right mind watch a show about that? Because they're really good, and they're not hard to do, and we eat them.
Right.
And if we eat them, we think you should eat them too.
Everybody
right?
eats nachos.
But not everybody makes them at home.
No, but the ones you can buy, I mean, they're terrible. There's a reason you make them at home. They taste so much better.
And you know, if you go to Taco Bell and get the mucho grande nachos,
You've
they're
been there.
Was that an Italian accent? They sound like I did an Italian accent. 1,300 calories, 80 grams of
Holy
fat.
cow.
They may be good, they may not be good, but a lot of them at restaurants, etc., are
Right.
mushy.
Right. I mean, the worst case scenario is like in the airport where they get the fluid cheese. They're awful. We're not going to do that.
Well, actually, at the country store in our town, you have the cheese dispenser with that orange stuff.
Yeah,
And you get this little
unnaturally fluid.
cellophane box with the black plastic.
Right.
And you hit the thing, and it,
No, that's not nachos.
that's Homer Simpson's
Yeah,
nachos.
these these are good nachos. Now, I actually did a fair amount of testing. I was very popular in the kitchen when I was developing this, and I found that people like them spicy. And some fresh jalapenos sprinkled in among the chips made a huge difference. Even if the salsa is a bit spicy or the guacamole, people wanted jalapenos fused to the chips with cheese. So roughly sliced. And we're going to use an 8-ounce bag of chips, and these are good. These are Newman's Own. And another trick I learned is to build them in layers. So you're going to take half the chips.
You're using, hold on, these are Newman's Own.
Right.
I used to live next to him, actually. And anyway, this is not the brand that I just, with my
That's right.
fine-tuned palate, decided that
Right.
Doritos, the mass market brand, was the winner.
Right.
So how come Newman's?
Well, Doritos tortilla chips are great, but they're only on the West Coast, and we live on the East Coast, so we can't really get them.
Okay.
But these are recommended. They're very
All
good.
right.
So I'm going to put half the bag on the bottom, sprinkle some jalapenos, and then the other key to nachos, of course, is cheese. And I actually tested various amounts of cheese for an 8-ounce bag, and I found that a pound. The stuff melts down to nothing, and really, if you get a chip without cheese, that's not a nacho.
And this is not the pre-grated
No.
supermarket cheddar in the bag,
Exactly.
because those are like dried out, right?
Exactly. They
Okay.
toss those shreds with an anti-caking and anti-fusing agent, and that prevents them from tasting good and melting properly. So layer number 2, and the last layer, we're just going to do 2 layers. More jalapenos. And the last bit of cheese. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to put it in a 400-degree oven. So 400 degrees, about 7 to 10 minutes.
Now, nachos aren't complete unless they have guacamole.
Oh, yeah.
And what else do we need?
Sour cream, salsa, scallions, lime. There's no such thing as minimalist nachos. The more stuff you can pack on there, the better off you are.
So we'll be back shortly, and we're going to actually make the salsa and
Right.
make some guacamole. We also tested store-bought guacamole, and
Oh.
we'll tell you the results of that. Here's an America's Test Kitchen quick tip. You know, when you grate cheese, the problem is the cheese sticks to the grater. So what do? Well, you can use a food processor for large amounts, but for smaller amounts, you just get the old box grater out like this. And I take a can of vegetable oil spray, you can buy them in any market, and simply spray the surface like that. Get rid of the can. And now take the cheddar cheese, and it will stick just a little bit, but not much. And there you go. The cheese is down there and not stuck to the grater. So there you are. A little vegetable oil spray, box grater. The cheese will not stick. Nachos need salsa, but don't go to the supermarket and buy jarred salsa because it tastes old. It has none of the fresh flavors of the ingredients. You can make it in 1 minute, when a time you know, 1 minute or less at home. So fresh salsa's in, jarred salsa
Right.
is out.
It's really easy, actually, to make a good tasting salsa, especially for these nachos at home. And as you can tell, I'm going to use canned tomatoes.
At least you're starting with a can. That's good.
All right. You can use fresh ones if the season's right, but very often the season's wrong, and if you want to make these in the middle of the winter. These are just 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes, packed in water. And I'm going to drain that liquid out. And we're going to let that sit. And now, the other ingredients of the salsa include a quarter of a red onion, 1 clove of garlic, and I'm going to put through the press first because those blades of the Cuisinart don't necessarily cut it down into small pieces. A little bit of lime. We're going to use half a jalapeno for a little heat. You could also use chipotles. They're canned jalapenos and they're smoked and they're sitting in a adobo sauce, so it's kind of smoky. You can use them if you have it. So take the seeds out. There's a lot of heat in those seeds. You can put a few of them in there if you want them hot.
Do you have asbestos hands? I thought when you
do.
deal with peppers like that, you should put like
Gloves on?
rubber gloves on.
Well, I just won't rub my eyes. Actually, they don't bother me too bad, but they will hurt you if I
So you should be careful.
touch my
with this.
face. I can see you trying to get me to touch my face for the rest
Did
of
you
this.
have something in your...
And this is a little bit of cilantro. Now this is quite different than parsley. You don't want the thick stems either. You just want the tops. And about 2 tablespoons of that. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. We're going to pulse this. And then now we're going to add the tomatoes. Get as much of that liquid as you can because that's what will make the salsa kind of watery. You just want to pulse it really quickly. You don't want it to be too broken down. You don't want a puree. We're actually going to let it sit in the sieve till the nachos come out just to make sure that no other liquid is going to make the nachos too soggy. But you can see it's beautiful. It tastes nice and fresh and it's not from a jar.
Okay, so we've made the sauce. It took a
Right.
minute and a half.
Right.
And now we're going to go on to the next part of this, which is guacamole. Now,
I love guacamole.
we weren't going to make it ourselves. We're practical. We go to the
Right.
supermarket. We bought 4 kinds. And this was one of the all-time worst taste tests we've ever had.
People were gagging through
Now,
this
this
whole
was the
thing.
winner, which is Avo Classic Guacamole.
You're pushing it to
And-
even call it a winner.
And this was the best rating we got, and the quote was, could be worse.
Exactly right.
That was the winner, okay?
With a fair amount of
be
doctoring,
worse.
that could be okay.
Goya,
Oh.
this is the guacamole mild. The answer was, tastes like nothing.
It tastes like nothing, and its texture was mealy.
Then we got on to the last 2, which is a Trader Joe's and a Calavo, I think how you pronounce it. Both of these were extremely acidic.
Right. I mean, these aren't cheap either. This is $5, so there's no reason to buy this. It's much cheaper.
So this stuff is going to go away. This was
Exactly.
awful. So the problem with guacamole that's in a tub or whatever is
Right.
it's sitting there, and all the fresh flavors of the avocado just
Exactly.
disappear. It's got to be fresh, just like the salsa.
Right.
You can't sit around.
Nope. And a lot of times I think they use one of these to make it as well.
Now, what is this?
That's a fuerte avocado. They're very common in Mexico, and this is a Hass. You can tell they're both avocados. This one has a really rich, deep flavor, the one that makes a great guacamole. This is kind of watery and bland, and it's not worth using.
Okay, so this goes away.
Right? So the key to a good guacamole, for that texture you want, we found, is to do 2 things.
Now, by the way, wait, should I say
Did you like
something? Wait, yeah, as she almost took her hand off. It would actually be a good idea to put this on the counter when you hit it, not
Right.
hold it in your hand. Just I
Sure.
thought I'd mention that.
Huh? Not bad. There's 2 textures we wanted in a guacamole. We wanted that smooth, creamy lusciousness. We also wanted some chunks, something to bite down on. And when we're using 2 avocados, we're going to mash one up and then cube the other. So if you'd like to get mashing with this one, so you want me to do this?
Yeah, just so you don't take your hand off. I don't want.
So you can
I don't
just-
want viewers with one hand calling in and saying, "I did what Julia said." And
Yeah, you should be careful. But that's an easy way to take the pit out, using the heel of the knife, digging it into the pit, and then you can just knock it against the counter or a garbage can, and it comes right out. And then to dice an avocado, you simply take a butter knife, and the avocado is so ripe it just goes right through. And we're going to score it one way and score it the other.
should I do this with some juice and other things, or just
Sure.
by itself?
You can actually mash that with the rest of the ingredients.
Okay.
Onion, lime, cilantro, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of garlic, 1 clove, minced or put through this press. All right, and the last ingredient is the other half of that jalapeno we used for the salsa. We're going to use in the guacamole. And to mince a jalapeno, you want to get the ribs out, and we're going to slice lengthwise into long strips. And then we're going to cut it the other way into a fine mince. Oh, that's looking so good. So now that we scored the avocados, you can just scoop it out.
There we are.
So this is it.
Do I get to taste it?
Sure.
It is very fresh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our salsa draining.
Right?
We have the guacamole made.
Right?
And we're missing something.
Nachos.
But doesn't that look good?
It looks fantastic. I have some scallions.
Now, how come you're using the big ugly green part?
I like the ugly green part. I think they taste good. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
They've cooled off for a few minutes. Let's put these on. Oh, it looks so good.
Now, I have a feeling this is going to be our all-time most popular show. This
be
is the one
surprised.
everyone's going to request
Yeah.
again. So your basic concept here was anti-sogginess.
Right.
You want a crisp nachos.
Crisp nachos and
Okay.
gooey cheese, and we let it cool for a few minutes, and the final kick on a great nacho.
This
A little
looks good.
fresh lime. Oh, yeah.
Can I mix them all up
Oh,
and make
yeah.
a mess?
You got
so I
to.
can make a mess. This is all right. You can hear the crunch. You did it. Mm-hmm. It's not soggy.
Homer would be proud.
I can't say this is light, but it ain't 1,300 calories like the Mucho Grande nacho.
No. Don't you just want to sit on the couch with a can of carbonation and the remote control and a good movie?
Forget about Taco Bell. Bring it home. 7 to 10 minutes in the oven. Great chips, simple cheddar cheese on top, 2 layers, and great fresh guacamole. 90-second sauce. It's not health food.
Oh, no.
It's kind of a mess, but it tastes great. You think this is big enough? Now I'm going to load this up. There. How's that? You don't want to watch me.
That
eat
actually
this.
looks really good.
No. Hey, it's nachos. What? Okay, we've showed you how to make nachos at home, but how about buffalo chicken wings? Well, what are they? Well, they started out, at least one story says, at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo by someone called Teresa Bellissimo. Does that sound like a stage name to you? Or Mother Teresa, as she called. She had a bunch of chicken wings left over, threw them under a broiler, and served them to her patrons one Friday night. Now, Calvin Trillin, who's a well-known author of books like Alice, Let's Eat, and also writes for The New Yorker, he tracked down a guy called John Young in the 60s who claimed that he served chicken wings with a mambo sauce. So there are actually 2 different stories there. However, today, they're simply fried with a nice spice rub on them, chicken wings, and served with blue cheese dressing and celery sticks or whatever. So it is a food you can do at home. They taste great. And Matt's here to explain exactly how to do it the right way.
Great.
Are you ready to do chicken wings at home?
I am, with some of this mambo sauce. All right, the first step is cutting up the chicken. You want to cut the tip off. And right below that bottom little notch there, you can just run a knife right through there. The second step is flip it over and at an angle, your knife will almost settle right into the notch there between the joint. Just run the knife right through. And it's quick and clean. So it really is simple and fast. We have about 18 wings here. It's just about 3 pounds. Now the chicken's prepped, next step is preheating the oil. We liked using the heaviest Dutch oven we had, which is this big Creuset. It's 8 quart.
The $140 monster, right?
It'll last you a lifetime. You'll pass it to your grandchildren, and it looks gorgeous on your shelf.
Now, how much do you have? 2.5 inches deep of oil?
Good guess. Yeah, it's
Okay.
about 2.5 inches deep with peanut oil. Peanut oil has quite a high smoke point. It's got a very clean flavor, and for fried food, it's great. So we're gonna heat that up here, and it's gonna take a while. It's a lot of oil. It's a heavyweight pan.
So is this the typical frying thing where the oil's like 360 or 70, or is it
Yeah,
a different?
360 on
Okay.
the nose.
All right.
It should take about 5 to 10 minutes for that to heat.
Okay.
Next step is making our sauce. The original recipe, supposedly, quote unquote, is 2 parts Frank's hot sauce,
Which is this stuff here?
often called Frank's Louisiana hot sauce. And despite its label, it's just not that hot.
And so what did it have? 2 parts this to what?
1 part margarine.
Ah, good. So
Margarine.
We're going to use butter, okay?
We're gonna use butter. Butter makes it better. as
Okay,
any
so we
cook
got
will tell
butter
you.
to
We
start.
have half a stick of butter, 4 tablespoons, and we're gonna melt that. And then we had to stick with Frank's. It's the only thing we could use. So half a cup of Frank's.
It's the only thing we could use because we want to be authentic with this
We
recipe.
want to be authentic. So we're gonna melt the butter and the Frank's. And then, since it's not that hot, we need the Tabasco.
Okay.
2 tablespoons Tabasco.
I don't know if I can eat this. This is too hot for me.
Oh, we'll give you a beer. This is pretty traditional to this point, but then we found that a little dark brown sugar, the hot chili peppers really take well to having a little sweetness in them. And the final ingredient is just 2 teaspoons apple cider vinegar. And that's gonna add some sharpness, bring the flavors up. All right, the sauce is melted here, and we can turn the heat off. And the oil's got a few minutes yet to go, so let's go ahead and clean up our board and get ready for the rest of the recipe.
Okay, we'll clean up, be back a couple minutes, and we're going to finish off this quick and easy bath food. So the oil's almost ready now, another couple minutes. But meanwhile, we're going to make the rub, the spice rub for the wings, right?
Yeah.
With more, I see, of like cayenne, more heat here.
It's building layers of cayenne. It's all these different flavors going on. And yes, in fact, it is more cayenne. We go with a teaspoon of cayenne.
Now, what's the stuff you just put into?
That is cornstarch. We tried cooking the wings without any sort of starchy coating, and they didn't give us what we wanted. Crispy, brown, and just a little something for the sauce to stick to. And we tried flour, rice flour, and cornstarch proved to be the best. It was light and crisp. So it's a teaspoon of cayenne, teaspoon of black pepper, and a teaspoon of table salt. And we're just going to mix that up a little bit here. But before we can put it on, there's a very important step here. We need to dry the chicken. So, paper towels, and just kind of work it. It's not so pretty, but it works really well.
So you don't have to like take them out and put them on a flat surface and...
No, I really like using the paper towels in the bowl. Works well. And you can work the paper towels in there and give them a good squeeze. Just get that moisture out of there.
Okay.
They're dry. Now we can sprinkle the rub over top. And personally, I would like to use my hands to mix it up, but I'll use a rubber spatula. Keep it a little clean.
Now you would use your hands because you always use your hands for any kind of mixing here, right?
I do. Hands work great. They really do. You can feel everything as you go.
Okay, so how's the oil?
Let's check it out.
So again, we're looking for what, 360, 370?
We are...
There.
Ah, there we go. All right, we're ready to go here. What we're going to do is fry half the wings at a time. So, in they go. You want to give frying foods plenty of room to cook on their own.
So that's why you have a big 8-quart pot, right?
It is. Now we wait till it's golden and crispy, which is just about 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay. Those look great. I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical about this recipe, but they look great. Golden brown. Are they going to be nice and crispy? They look crispy on the outside.
They're going to be just shattering crispy.
And again, this is what, 10 or 12 minutes, right?
It's been about 12 minutes. And they're just perfectly golden. And we are going to pull them using our handy little spider here. That's the first batch there.
So let's just see one of these. I'll just pick one up. So nice and crispy. It's very crispy. It's almost like a hard, crispy outer shell.
You want it extra hard because you're going to be putting the sauce on it.
And also, there's nothing worse than soggy fleshy chicken wings. So those look great.
And we'll just put them in a 200-degree oven to keep warm. Ready to eat.
So we're back, and then we're going to have 2 batches done, ready to go. We're going to pour some sauce on them and finish up this recipe and have what I hope to be superior buffalo chicken wings. Okay, our second batch looks like it's ready to go. And not much oil actually gets into the food. I didn't say it was healthy, but it's healthier than you think it is.
And let's drain these off. They're just stunning. Look at that.
You know what? I've never eaten buffalo chicken wings, ever.
You know, I hadn't until a few years ago. I grew up in the Mid-Atlantic, and I don't know, I just never got into them. And then I had, and everything changed. Let's move this over to the cutting board here.
So we also have some celery and carrots and some blue cheese dressing, which is, by the way, the one we've made here at America's Test Kitchen. It's on our website, americastestkitchen.com. We actually make it with real blue cheese, a mild and creamy type.
Let me pour the sauce there. Oh, look at that, Chris. Stir it up.
I'm ready. Are you ready? Is this going to be really hot? Is it going to burn my hands?
I don't know. It's part of the challenge.
Why? That's spicy. Yeah, see? You pour all that pepper in.
That's good, though, because you
it's
taste the
delicious.
cayenne. And,
It is spicy, though.
but it's sweet. It's tart.
You know, it's got that sweet, sour, peppery thing. It wasn't when I bit into it. It's when I inhaled it. When I got close to my nose.
You get the hot vinegar coming right off.
It's vinegary. It's hot. It's fried. Well, I mean, you got all the favorite American things. You got a little sweet. You got a little vinegary. You know, you got the fat with the fried with a nice outer coating.
And
you got chicken. Everyone likes chicken, and you got heat. So you got everything. So I got to
Dip it.
That's not just for the crudité, huh?
No, it's
All
it's
right,
all
all
part
right,
of the
all right,
package.
all right, all right.
Tempers the heat.
That is the absolute weirdest thing I've ever tasted in my life, but it's delicious. I admit it.
It's perfect.
Wait, this is very strange, but it's delicious. I got to ask you, because I'm no expert. These are the best buffalo wings?
So we've been told. We have some folks from Buffalo here in
What
the
do they call
kitchen.
buffaloes?
Buffalonians?
Okay.
I don't know.
And they say they're the best?
They say they're the
Okay,
best.
from the horse's mouth and buffalo's mouth, we have, according to the local experts, the best buffalo wings. You know, great nachos are simple. Just use the right kind of cheddar cheese and chips and layer them properly. And buffalo chicken wings, cornstarch for a nice, thin, crispy coating, and a deep fry in peanut oil. So from America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, great homemade bar foods.